Thank you, councillors. We'll prepare for Gus to start live streaming. If you could just be silent. Thank you, councillors. It's my obligation as chairperson to notify all of you present that the meeting is digitally recorded and will be made publicly available through the council's website, and the digital recordings are conducted in accordance with the Local Government Meeting Procedures 2015. The Central Coast Council acknowledges and pays respect to the traditional owners of Lutruwita, Tasmania, and the Palawakanaka people. We acknowledge the Punalapana tribe of this northern country, and in doing so, we celebrate one of the world's oldest continuing cultures. And the opening prayer is, may the words of our lips and the meditations of our hearts be always acceptable in thy sight, O Lord. Welcome to everybody. We have apologies this evening from Councillors Carpenter and Councillors Diprose. And so I will move to item 1.1, which is the confirmation of the minutes from the council meeting on the 12th of December that have been provided to you. Could I have somebody move that those minutes be received? Councillor Hiskett, seconded Councillor Viney. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Declared it carried. Item 2.1, councillor workshops. The list of the workshops there that we've held since the last ordinary meeting. Could I have somebody move that the officers' report be received, please?
So move, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Beswick, seconder Councillor Wiley. Any queries on that report? No. In that case, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Declared it carried. Item 3.1 is Mayor's Communications. I have nothing to report there under Mayor's Communications. 3.2 is the Mayor's Diary. And I just wanted to make an addition to that to say that last week myself, Councillor Beswick, Councillor Hiskett and the General Manager attended Glen Eagle Retreat. And Councillor Smith, my apologies. We went to Glen Eagle Retreat in Rihanna, a beautiful accommodation venue at the kind invitation of Kevin and Isabel Brown. It was lovely to see them and see what some of our tourism and accommodation providers are doing in Central Coast. So we thank them for that invitation, and I add that to my diary. That being the case, could I have somebody move that the Mayor's report be received, please? Thank you, Councillor Smith, seconded Councillor Beswick. No questions, I presume? No, there being none. All those in favour? Aye.
Aye.
Against? Get it carried. 3.3 is declarations of interest, where councillors are requested to indicate if they have or likely to have a conflict of any item on the agenda. Anybody wish to declare an interest of any kind? No, thank you. Item 4.1 is councillor reports. Any councillors wish to report on committee the events or actions of committees to which they've been appointed? Anybody wish to report on anything? Councillor Wiley, yes.
Yes, I attended a meeting for the Central Coast Chamber of Commerce and Industry at the beginning of this month, and the meeting was based around their business and travel expo that is upcoming. So I just wanted to flag the date for that, which it will come out publicly as well. But they're doing a fantastic job organising it. It's on the 2nd of April. It's going to be free entry, so I'd just like to encourage as many business holders and members of the public to get along to that and to support that initiative.
Thank you so much. Any other reports from councils to which you've been appointed? Councillor Hiskett.
Thank you. Just a report from the Surf Club. Just a reminder again that their Major States title, I believe it's called, is coming up in late February. And I just wanted to pass along some thanks from the council for their communication to the club in regards to the assistance they can provide.
Thank you. Any others? No, that's great. 5.1 is a leave of absence. There are no applications for consideration at this meeting. 6.1 deputations. No requests for deputations have been made. 7.1 petitions. No petitions have been presented. 8.1 is councillors' questions without notice. Just go around the table to see if councillors have questions of the General Manager or Director. Councillor Lehman, any questions?
No questions.
No. Councillor Wiley?
Yes, please, Mayor. One for the Director of Community Services and one for the Director of Infrastructure Services.
Thank you. Councillor Smith? No. Any questions? Councillor Hiskett?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Viney?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Bishop?
No, thanks, Mayor.
And none for myself. 8.2 is councillors' questions on notice. No questions on notice have been received. 9.1 is public question time. So public question time will be at 6:40 or as close as practical thereafter. And we'll give some greater guidance to what is permitted closer to that time. 10.1, general management. There is a motion from Councillor Hiskett giving notice to move. His motion is there and the report is there. Councillor Hiskett, I'm presuming that you're looking to move this notice of motion.
Thank you.
Do I have a seconder, please?
I'm happy to move it for sake of debate.
Thank you,
Mayor.
Councillor Leslie. Thank you. Councillor Hiskett.
Thank you, Mayor. Most of the information that I have is in the report that's been provided. So this is a motion of investigation only. This is to look into what the council would be required to do to call for an expression of interest in this regard. So this information, although in my intent is pertinent for the hotel motel complex in the Dial Sports complex, the information that we gather from this particular motion could be used for any other expression of interest that we may proceed with in the future. This in particular, though, is something that I'm looking to move towards. I think, as clearly stated in the motion, we require more additional accommodation in Central Coast. I mean, it's becoming a fact of all these events that we're now starting to host. People wanting to have destination weddings. This is a great destination to have it as well. That it's something that we severely lack as a proper site, and I think we can do a lot more in that space, and that location just has all the benefits going for it. I don't want to be looking back in 10 years' time saying, why didn't I start this conversation sooner? To see whether this is the right space or not, we need more information first. So this motion aims to lead towards finding that information. So far, since this is becoming public, I've had quite a significant number of positive feedback from the community members, which makes me feel like we're certainly have moved this motion in the right direction. And yes, looking forward to seeing what information the council can provide to councillors to see whether this is a good move or not. Looking forward to hearing others' conversations so that I can reply to that and move forward from there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Other speakers to the motion.
Mayor, if I may, I at the moment are prepared to listen to the debate, but I don't really support the motion as it stands. I think items like this, as a council, we should come together and do as a workshop and discuss it as part of our annual plans, and do things by more consensus as a team, rather than moving a notice of motion for something like this, which I think is something that's quite strategic and not the sort of thing that I see is fit for a notice of motion for this purpose. That's my feelings on the motion. I don't like the way it's linked in to the Dial Regional Sports Area, because I think if we're looking at it in a global sense of our municipality, there's lots of other areas which could be suitable as well. So that's just my thoughts on the motion as it sits, Mayor.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Viney.
Well, I believe a core activity of this council and every council is economic development, and obviously this fits within that framework. However, I think everybody's recognised for the past 30 years that there has been a need for visitor accommodation, whether for sporting events or weddings, destination, etc. However, there have been many times during that 20 years where we have actually put up ideas where a accommodation place could go, and it's really up to private enterprise to actually put up their hand and actually get on with it. And I'm not sure that opening up expressions of interest will actually add to that discussion, because I think most of the time members of the community actually have these discussions all the time. And if there was somebody willing to put up millions to build one of these things, they would have already come out and let us know about it. And from time to time, there are always these sort of projects in the wings. And I think our job is to actually encourage those sort of developments within our scope, and certainly not put it aside. But I don't think asking for expressions of interest will actually add to that debate. So I'll be not supporting the motion as it stands.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Wiley, you're looking before.
I concur with Councillor Beswick with what he's saying about, I believe that this is something that should come to a workshop rather to be able to get the full scope of the ideas and the research behind the motion that Councillor Hiskett is putting forward. I believe that there could possibly be space for a hotel, and I think that the motion itself is a good one, but I think that it just needs to be workshopped amongst a council workshop first. And due to the fact that we are still in a little bit of a catch-up mode for the annual plan and that sort of thing, I'm just not sure that the timing is correct to be looking at this right now without necessarily talking to the General Manager and the directors more so in a workshop fashion, first of all. But I do support tourism and ecotourism and accommodation in our municipality, and there may be strong need for it, but I just don't know that this is the right time to be looking at it.
Thank you. Councillor Lehman.
Thank you. I think this is a great initiative, and I think you're on the right track with the idea to provide the infrastructure and the accommodation for people to service increased visitors to the area. I tend to agree that I would like to workshop it as well. Just I think there are opportunities for maybe not so much that one location. There might be other areas that we could consider, and it would be preferable to do this right rather than I guess just to go to one area. I'm sure there have been lots of people saying positive things. It is a positive idea, but I'd really like to do it the right way.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
I'd like to support in principle the idea of encouraging development in the whole Central Coast. But we do, and I have happened today, people's been in the shop discussing it. We got to stop the community confusion. People say, why would the council be developing that? Well, we're not developing it, but they think that we want to develop it. They don't see the full picture. So we've got to be seen to be proactive in this, but sometimes people don't see through things the way it really was. I said, a person said to me today, why would the council be building a hotel? I said, we're not going to be, but we just got to be very careful in that. But we've also got to be seen to be active in trying to encourage quality developments in this area, because we would hate it to be ever said that Central Coast Council and councillors are not in favour of trying to develop bigger projects, which it couldn't be said, but we just got to be careful.
Fine, thank you. There's a few less of us at the table than normal, so it feels like we've whipped around there fairly quickly. But before Councillor Hiskett makes his reply, I suppose I just wanted to add my contribution. Again, I commend you for the intent, and at the risk of repeating what anyone else has said, I suppose for me personally, my preference would be that that we come back and workshop the piece of work, as opposed to asking staff to go away and do some work and then coming back to a workshop. So I suppose I'm just getting a sense around the table that perhaps others are thinking likewise. And Councillor Hiskett, I'll leave you to do with that feedback as you wish, but I'd really like us to explore it. But for me personally, I'm committed to finishing the tasks at hand and progressing the tasks that we already have on the table. But I'd love to continue the conversation. So I'm not sure what that looks like, but that's how I'm feeling. So also, I wouldn't be able to support the motion in its current form for that reason. Councillor Hiscott, did you want to reply and tell us what you're thinking?
Certainly would like to. It's an interesting conversation about this. We would like to bring it to a workshop to discuss. And it's exactly what the motion is asking to do. Like, the council would still need to go away. If we would have a workshop about this, the council would need to go away and come up with some information to bring back to a workshop. So I would suggest that this motion is exactly what everyone around the table has actually suggested that we would like to do. This just gets the ball rolling. If we continue to kick the ball, the rock down the path, we'll never pick it up and we'll never actually run anywhere with it. So my point, I guess, I would like to make is, do you think more accommodation in Central Coast is a good idea? And if that is the case, then I think this motion should be supported. There is a need, like we've said, everyone said there's a need, but we haven't done anything. You know, we can continue to talk about it. We can continue to say a workshop at some point, we'll do something. But again, the question is, do you think it's a good idea that we build more accommodation? Let's bring it to a workshop. That's exactly what I'm asking to do. Let's let the council go away, come up with some information, bring it to a workshop, and then we can discuss it. We can say, yeah, what a great idea. Let's go ahead and do this. Or we can say, no, actually, after we've dug in a little bit further, it's actually not the right idea. So that's the final comments that I'd like to do, that I think after hearing the debate, that this motion actually perfectly caters to what you're suggesting. It's not saying build a hotel. As you know, the perception is that it's build a hotel there. This motion is not saying that. It's saying, let's talk about it. Let's bring it to a workshop, which we all want to do. Thank you.
Thank you. The motion in its current form is there for you, including the request that the council seeks advice on the best way forward with the intent for calling of expressions of interest, etc., and reports back to the council at a workshop in 2023. So I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? The motion is lost.
Can you just leave our hands
Yes,
up?
hands up
please?
for the nays. And despite that, perhaps there is a conversation to still be had, considering the tone of the conversation around the table. So for the time being, we will move on. Item 10.2 is minutes and notes of committees of the council and other organisations. You've been provided with copies of the minutes as listed there. Could I have somebody move that the minutes and notes be received?
So move, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Beswick. Second, Councillor Viney. Any questions on any of those minutes? No, there being none, I put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. 10.3 is the quarterly performance report. The progress against the 22-23 annual plan, and some discussion and observations there, and you've been provided with a copy of the quarterly performance report. Could I have somebody move that the report be received? Thank you, Councillor Smith. Seconded, Councillor Wiley. Any questions for the General Manager on that? We have had ample opportunity to question her. No. Good. There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. 10.4 is the common seal. You've got a new schedule provided to you there with some additions, as advised by the General Manager. Could I have somebody move that it be received? Thank you, Councillor Hiscott. Seconded, Councillor Viney. Any questions on that document? No, there being none, I put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. 10.5 is contracts and agreements. You've been provided a copy of the schedule. Do I have somebody move the schedule of contracts and agreements be received, please? Thank you, Councillor Wiley. Seconded, Councillor Beswick. Any questions on the schedule? No, there being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Aye.
Aye.
Against? Declared it carried. 10.6 correspondence addressed to the Mayor and councillors. Schedule of correspondence has been provided to you. I have somebody move that it be received. Thank you, Councillor Viney. Seconded, Councillor Lehman. Any questions on the schedule? No, there being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Aye.
Aye.
Against? Declared it carried. That was the end of this section of general management. No questions for the general manager. We move on to 10.7. Community services, and 10.7 is development application determinations. You've been provided with a schedule of the determinations that have been made during December. Could I have somebody move that the determinations be received, please? Thank you, Councillor Wiley. Seconded, Councillor Hiskett. Any questions on the schedule? There being none, I put the motion. All those in favour? Aye.
Aye.
Against? Declared it carried. 10.8, request to approve 3 street names for the new roads in the residential estate off Parsons Street, Ulverston. This is exciting to see it coming to fruition. So you've been provided a copy with the view and the plan and the final plan. And the purpose of this report is to consider the names for the associated streets and roadways. You've got some information there about that consideration. Could I have somebody move that the report is supported for those names
So
of that
moved.
subdivision? Councillor Beswick, seconded Councillor Viney. Any discussion?
Mayor, I suppose just to follow up on the words you've mentioned, great to see another subdivision being finished off, and you know the final thing is naming the roads. I've had a bit of a drive around this subdivision out there, and it's come together quite well. It's got quite nice elevation with some of the blocks there, and it's great to see a few more nice level blocks in and around the town. Some work still to be done there on the Buttons Creek area, which will really tidy up that space for the future. So it's great to see that come together, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other speakers? No, there being none. Could I have somebody? Did we move it and second it? Yes, we did. So well done. Excellent. Thank you. No other speakers? There being none, then I put the motion. All those in favour? Aye.
Aye.
Against? Declared it carried. Followed by 10.9, similar item, which is the request to approve 2 street names for new roads in a residential estate off Trevor Street. Again, something that is finally flourishing and coming to fruition after Councillor Vine has been watching it for a very, very long time, I should imagine.
Finally happening.
It's finally happening. I'm just scrolling down to the, bear with me. Good. Could I have somebody move the recommendation then, which is on the bottom of page 28, and Councillor Viney is doing so enthusiastically. Seconded by Councillor Hiskett. Any discussion on the names?
We'd just like to add that I'm sure Uni Bajel will be really chuffed that one of the streets has been named after him, and I hope there's no confusion in the way people wish to pronounce it. It is Uni. There may be some fun and games around that, but anyway, it is what it is. Thank you.
Good. Excellent. Any other speakers? No? Great. There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Declared carried. 10.10 is council acting as a planning authority. I have somebody move that the Mayor's report be received in relation to acting as planning authority. Thank you, Councillor Hiskett. Seconded, Councillor Wiley. I don't know why I'm stumbling over people's names today. All those in put the motion. All those in favour? Aye.
Aye.
Against? Declared carried. Thank you. So that takes us to 10.11, residential shed and 2 awnings, 1 retrospective and 1 new. Setbacks at 6 Brockmarsh Place in West Ulverston. And we're all scrolling through. the suggested resolution on page 67. Could I have somebody move that the report be received?
So move me.
I'm not sure that's the right wording. Just give me a moment. I'm looking for it.
Moving the suggested resolution.
That it be approved.
Thank you. So yes, be approved subject to the following conditions outlined there on page 67. Sorry, thank you so much. Sorry, did I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Smith. Seconded. Councillor Beswick. Councillor Smith, did you wish to speak?
I just think this meets all requirements and nothing more needs to be said.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Beswick.
Just the planning staff have gone through the issues raised by the appellant for this project. It's interesting that often one of the reasons that people object to any proposal is their loss of view. Unfortunately, even though I acknowledge that somebody's objecting to this, nobody owns a view, whether it be a tree or a building or whatever next door. So, yeah, I'd just like to acknowledge the way the planning staff have dealt with the issues that were raised. But again, I'll be supporting this resolution.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Smith, did you wish to close the debate?
Everything's been needed that has to be said.
Nothing further. Very good. In that case, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. And we had one question for community service. Councillor Wiley, now is the time for that question.
Yeah, sorry, just bear with me for a moment. So yes, my question is based around the childcare facility that is run by council and the fact that it's at capacity. And my question is to the Director of Community Services to ask whether there was any intended extensions or anything, or change of venue or anything planned for that childcare facility to be able to host more children and therefore let working parents be able to get to their jobs.
And this is the Alexander Road Ulverston site you're particularly
Yes.
referring to?
Yes,
Thank you.
and I expect that to be taken on notice unless you.
Oh, no, I can answer it.
Yes,
Thank you,
sure.
Councillor Wiley. So as part of our current annual plan, Council's undertaken to complete a strategic review of our childcare service that will look at what the demand is moving forward and how we meet that demand. We called for a request for proposal just prior to Christmas, and last week we identified our preferred consultant to do that work, with the work to be completed by the end of April.
Thank you.
It will be considered, and you'll hear more from them.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to infrastructure services then, item 10.12, Turners Beach Integrated Pathway, Streetscape and Traffic Management Plan for 2023. We've received the plan at a workshop previously, and now we're being asked to adopt and to list the associated projects in the long-term financial plan. Request is on page 72. Could I have somebody move? Councillor Hiskett. Thank you. And a seconder, Councillor Wiley. Councillor Hiskett, did you wish to speak to this item?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, look, this was a absolutely incredibly collaborative project from the council, and I have to commend the council staff and how they put this together. Not only with the working group, which is composed of quite a few notable members of that area, as well as the community consultation that was done and well attended. I think the outcomes that have been achieved really highlight some satisfaction, especially in the reports that were done. It identified some constraints that we'd encountered and then resolved those constraints. And this end result, I think, will be an absolute master plan, which will obviously need to be put into the long-term plan. It's not all going to happen overnight, but it'll really identify some future projects for the area. and it was just such a pleasure to be involved and how the council managed the project. So I commend the Director of Infrastructure and his staff and the General Manager. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Wiley.
Thank you. I'd like to concur with Councillor Hiskett with the collaborative approach that this is a fantastic example of council and community collaboration working together to achieve something that I believe all stakeholders will be extremely happy with. The fact that things like meandering paths and the natural environment have been really considered, which is very important to the people of the Turners Beach community. I will just make note, it has been pointed out by the Director of Infrastructure Services that there is one tree that has been flagged to be removed on the eastern end of the Esplanade. And that has been noted that tree will in fact remain, which may seem like a small thing, but it's very important to the people of the community. So yes, I'd certainly like this to be accepted with that noted, please.
Excellent. Other speakers? Councillor Beswick.
Yeah, just following on from Casey, Councillor Hiskett and Councillor Wiley. Yeah, I've only had good reports back from the community out there as far as the involvement of the people, and from some of the other people that have been on the committee. So again, I'd like to commend the community for the work that they've put together in a collaborative way. I look forward to seeing that being developed during the next few years as we fit things into our budget process. It's not something that's going to happen in 1 year. It'll be something that will be progressed over quite a few years, but it'll be a great benefit for the whole of the community out there in the Turners Beach area.
Great, thank you. Any other speakers? No. Councillor Hiskett, did you wish to add anything? No. Thank you. In that case, we'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. 1013, corporate services, 1013. No, we had a question for infrastructure services. My apologies. Thank you. Councillor Wiley had a question for the Director of Infrastructure
Yes, I
Services.
do. Thank you. My question is based around industrial drive parking. It's been mentioned to me that with parking on both sides of the road that it does cause loss of vision and some dangerous near accidents that have happened along there. And it has been suggested that whether it's been looked at to be a one-way through to Maskell's Road, or if there's been any, I guess, ideas around that traffic management problem that's there at the moment.
I'll take the question on notice, but I will say that we have recently had an inquiry regarding parking along that stretch of road, and it has been passed to our traffic management committee. But I'll take it on notice and give you a bit more formal answer around some of the other work that's been done over the past, so that I can research that.
Thank you.
Thank you. 10.13 statutory determinations. Then you've been provided with a schedule of statutory determinations. Could I have somebody move that these statutory determinations be received? Thank you, Councillor Lehman. Seconded, Councillor Viney. Any questions on the statutory determinations? No, there being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. Followed by 10.14, which are the financial statements. It's a summary of rates and fire service levies and a statement of comprehensive income and financial position and the capital works resource schedule that we've been provided with. Do I have somebody move that the financial statements be received, please? Thank you. Councillor Wiley, seconded. Councillor Smith. Any questions on the financial statements? No? Right. There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Declared it carried. It isn't quite 6:40, but it's close enough according to the agenda for it to be public question time. So we have a period of public question time for not longer than 30 minutes usually, which allows for no more than 2 questions to be asked by any members of the public. And we ask you to state your name and direct questions to myself, then I may redirect them to the General Manager or a employee to respond. So, Mr. Thompson. Acknowledge Gavin Thompson, former councillor for Central Coast. For how long, Gavin?
I left in the year 2000 and I started at the Ulverstone Council in 1986. I was sitting around here for 13 years.
Well, a significant contribution to our communities. That's
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. And your
Okay.
questions?
But my question is, would the mayor and councillors consider acknowledging at every council meeting the early settlers of this municipal area who, with picks and shovels, formed their roads and cleared the land with bullocks and horses? Let's thank them for the fruits of their labours, which has provided us with the lifestyle we now enjoy.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. So interestingly enough, we're going through a process at the moment where we are considering how we start our meeting and what that contains. We've recently and in recent times adopted our acknowledgement of country, of course. So the new council has undertaken to have a broader conversation about what it is that we need to make, what statements we need to make at the commencement of our meetings to make sure that we're setting the tone and acknowledging those who need acknowledgement. So thank you for making that suggestion. I think that's fabulous that you have an interest in that. And I suppose what I can do is undertake to ensure, well, we've all heard your suggestion, so I'm happy to include that in our conversations about our meeting procedures going forward.
I'll just say one little thing in support of that. Last week there was a funeral in Melbourne of a 95-year-old lady, and her parents were the Lewises from Preston, and she wanted to spend her life in Melbourne, but because she was born in Preston, it was a requirement virtually that she stay on the farm and develop the land there. So, I mean, the time that she spent there was lost because of what she had to do in the development of this community. And I think it's something that we should not forget.
That is noteworthy. Yeah. No, thank you. And was that your only question, Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. Any other questions? Okay, well, that being the case,
I'll have to.
yes. Oh, thank you. Yes, and the General Manager has a question that she's received remotely. Is that what we call it?
I've received two questions from Mr. Jamie Smith of Leith to be asked in public question time at the meeting tonight. So the first one is on what date in 2023, as part of the action plan, does the council propose to undertake the review of the Leith plan, along with canvassing the community as to what their preference will be for further consultation? So the response is that the council's annual action plan for 2022-2023 did not include the development of a new Leith community plan, nor any other community plans. There is not enough resources for this to be undertaken during the 2022-23 year. The council is reviewing its engagement strategy for meetings with the community. Consideration is being given to visiting areas on an annual basis rather than every 2 to 3 years. This would allow for discussions on a more regular basis with both councillors and senior staff present when available. So the second question is, given views in the community that the junction upgrades at Leith do not impact or prevent the need for a Leith representative group / committee, what initiatives have the council implemented, taken to ensure the council will, in the remaining months of 2023, undertake the review of the Leith plan, along with canvassing the community as to what their preference will be for further consultation, and how has the community been kept advised of progress with regard to this matter? The response is that the council's annual action plan for 2022-2023 did not include the development of the new Leith Community Plan, nor any other community plans. There was not enough resources for this to be undertaken during that year. The review of the community plans will be considered in the development of the annual plan for 2023-24. And the council will engage with the community at the appropriate time when the project is to be progressed.
Thank you very much. That brings the public section of our meeting to a close. Thank you for attending, gentlemen. Nice to see both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night. Councillor Hiscott, would you mind? Is that okay, Sandra? Closing the door and flipping the sign?